You're not fat because you have bad genetics. You're fat because you still give a fuck. I used to be super fat and unhealthy, and I literally just stopped caring, and I've lost the weight like this, okay? And I've done this multiple times. This is not a one-time thing. I've lost weight multiple times from super fat to super skinny. And the defining thing that helped me lose weight every time is that I stopped caring. I used to struggle with, food in general. I used to be super addicted to all this fast food and shitty food like Wendy's and frickin' like other crap. Just like always eating cakes, always eating unhealthy food like Oreos and cookies and you know all the shit that people eat nowadays. And the thing is, I cared so much about my body, but at the same time, I didn't do anything about it. I would always look at myself in the mirror and be like, oh, I wish I was skinny. Oh, I wish I was, I wish I was fit. I wish I had a six pack. But then my actions would not align with those thoughts. Like I would be like searching up how to get six pack abs in 5 minutes. But then when I would look in the mirror, I would see a fat dude, and then I would go on and eat terrible food and eat sugar all the time. So it's like I cared, but at the same time, the things I was doing were not aligning with what I wanted. And the first thing I had to do was realize that caring doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you care about a certain thing, because the more you actually do to get to that thing, that's what matters. The actual actions you put in, okay? So giving a fuck about losing weight does not matter whatsoever, okay? You don't have to care, because most people, think about it, most people who actually are skinny or who are lean or healthy, they don't care that much about it. They don't care that much about being skinny. They don't care that much about being lean. They just are. That's them. That's them as a person. You have to create a new identity. You have to create a new habit to become that person, okay? So you have to stop counting calories, okay? All these people who are super fit, most of them don't count calories, because guess what? The food that they're eating is actually healthy. When you eat healthy food, counting calories basically goes out the window. You don't even have to count calories anymore, because literally everything you do fuels you for the better, not for the worse, okay? And you have to understand that you're not going to get fat if you're constantly eating high quality food. And guess what? That high quality food will translate into you being more fit and better looking and everything. So you have to start thinking about food in terms of the quality and what you're actually getting out of it. Stop thinking about the calories, right? Because if you're eating a ton of junk food and you're counting the calories, yeah, you might lose some weight. But are you going to be healthy? You're not going to be healthy, because that food that you're eating is not good for you. Stop counting calories like a slave. People who count calories, they're doing the wrong thing. They should be focusing on eating the good food, on focusing on getting the right nutrients, and focusing on everything else. But counting calories is not going to do it. Fixing your diet is the main factor, okay? If you actually fix your diet, you won't have to worry about counting calories ever again. And I promise you that, okay? So first step is counting your calories and throwing that away, okay? No more counting calories. Another thing that we have to talk about is you have to stop looking at the scale, okay? Looking at the scale is going to be your number one enemy, because a lot of times on your weight loss journey, on your fat loss journey, the scale is really not going to reflect your actual progress. A lot of times you're going to, hop on the scale. You may have been 160 or 180 or 200 or 300, and then you look at the scale and you're like, yeah, I lost 5 pounds. That's awesome. But then the next day you wake up and you're back up. So it's like you have to realize that the scale is not an accurate representation of you. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, do I like how I look? Do I feel better? Do I look healthier? Do I look better? That's what you should be looking at. Stop looking at the numbers on the scale, because when you look at the numbers on the scale, there's a lot of other factors that can, tie into that, and that can really mess with your mental health, right? Because you really care about this journey, but guess what? These people who are really fit and they don't care, They're not looking at the scale. They're not hopping on the scale every day or every morning to check their weight. They're just not doing that because it doesn't even pop into their heads because they know that they're healthy. You have to change that. You have to change that in your head. You have to become the healthy person and become the person who is always fit, who doesn't have to check the scale. Because when you are obsessing with this certain thing, you're putting more pressure on it. And the more pressure you put on this, the more chances you're going to fail. And guess what? A lot of times, the more pressure you put on yourself, the harder you fall. I see a lot of people and a lot of people, they fall much harder because they put so much emphasis on this thing. They put so much external, stress on it. So when they fail, when they eat that junk food, they fall even harder. They start eating tens and tens of thousands of calories because it's like, oh, they go from each extreme. And that's something I suffer with a lot. I go from super clean to super unhealthy sometimes. And I really have been trying to focus on diminishing that. And I think I've been getting pretty good at it because now I'm at a good baseline where all the food I eat is healthy. And even the unhealthy stuff is healthier than what most people eat. Like when I, have a cheat meal, my cheat meal is healthier than what 99% of people eat in their day-to-day lives. So you have to kind of reset your baseline to the point where a cheat meal is like a good meal to someone else. So stop looking at the scale. Don't focus on the actual outcomes. Focus on what you can do and focus on how you feel and how you look in the mirror, and stop caring about the numbers because that stuff fluctuates. That stuff changes all the time, and you could go and drink a lot of water and the next day your weight will be super high, but that's not fat. That's from water. Okay, there's a lot of different factors that you have to weigh in here. Okay, also you have to stop caring about what other people think. Okay, when I first started losing weight, I really was self-conscious about how I looked, how I felt. My stomach was always poking out. I was trying to cover myself. When I would go to the pool, I would wear a shirt to make sure no one can see my belly and all that. And it turns out no one cares, right? Turns out no one actually looks at me and no one cares. But when you put this excess importance, you become insecure, you become super paranoid, and you start caring about what other people think so much that it ruins your life. You need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of caring about what other people think. Because at the end of the day, guess what? They don't care. They're all thinking about themselves. And when you realize that you have to stop caring about what other people think, you're like, wow, I can really do this. I can actually make a change. And especially with your family, a lot of times people are fat and their whole family's fat, or people in that they know are fat, and that's like something they share, something they kind of like bond over. It's like, oh, we're all fat. And when you're trying to break out of that cycle, when you're trying to eat healthier, and everyone else in your family, they still want to eat McDonald's every day, you have to stop caring about what they think of you if you want to make it, if you want to keep, going down the right path. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people, they have, things that they're addicted to, but you don't have to be addicted to those things. You don't have to do that. You have the power inside of you to choose what you want to do, right? You have free will. You have the power. So why would you settle for less? Why would you settle for mediocrity? Go ahead, eat the healthy food, do the right habits, and you will definitely succeed. But the first thing you have to remember is you can't let them change how you see it, okay? Don't let them change your diet. Don't let them change what you do, because you have to realize that if you do what they do, you're going to stay exactly where you are. If you do what they're telling you to do, you're going to stay exactly where you are, fat and unhealthy. And you have to realize that sometimes they're not trying to do it on purpose, but they don't know any better. Or sometimes, they may try and do it on purpose if they're really weird. But still, stop caring about what other people think. You want to become fit. Stop caring what other people think. And this goes for literally everything in life. Be who you want to be for yourself, not for anyone else. Okay? If any of you guys are actually interested in, taking their journey to the next level, I would highly recommend getting my one-on-one coaching, where I literally go through every little minute detail to help you win and strive to become a healthy and fit person. And I will help you personally, and I will make sure that you get there. And also, the last thing I want to say is, I literally eat whatever I want. I'm not even kidding. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and I can literally never get fat. It's impossible. And it's because I am so healthy, and my diet is so good to the point where I can't even get fat. Like, I eat a ton of eggs, and I like the eggs. I'm not forcing myself to eat the eggs. I like the eggs. I'm not forcing myself to eat the meat. I like the meat. I'm not forcing myself to drink the raw milk. I like the raw milk. All of the things in my diet are extremely healthy, and they taste really good. I don't have to force myself to do anything. And I have the power to go out and eat some unhealthy food. Yeah, I may feel bad the next day, but I know that I'm never going to be addicted to it again, because I have broken the chains that once, controlled me, the chains that once tied me down. I've now used those chains to my advantage,